r/askreddit by Redify. To non-UK peoples. What things do people from the UK do that you find interesting/weird? I've only been to London. But well-dressed people passed out drunk in alleyways at 11 AM. Also the very defined rules about when you can speak to each other. People are very friendly within the bounds of the rules. But literally panic if someone engages with them outside of those bounds. Also the drinking culture. Just wow. Edit. I just want to clarify that I mean wow in both a positive and negative sense. A cleaning lady scared out of her mind by 20 drunks in a male bathroom was bad. But being able to drink from a bottle of wine as I wandered around the city with my friend and not have to worry about cops was fantastic. Edit 2. Okay, so people are saying that it's illegal to walk around town drinking. But I will counter that I walked past whole groups of people on the piss on the sidewalk, so I guess that if the police were enforcing that one, I guess I was the least of their worries. Putting X at the end of text messages. Having tea. When I went over to the UK for a holiday, the people who I visited asked me what I wanted for tea. Like an ignorant fool, I replied with rooibos. They were not asking what type of tea I'd like. Apparently, I felt a bit stupid, to be honest. But at least I know something new now. All the different accents in a relatively small area. I watch a lot of Premier League and thus watch a lot of fan channels on YouTube. I'm amazed at how quickly you guys can pull out the most unique insults out of thin air and continue like it's nothing. Lukaku is shit, mate. He couldn't hit water from a boat. Captain? He couldn't lead a pack of ants to a picnic. There's obviously better ones, but I'm not as quick-witted as the Brits, so I'm not exactly doing it justice. But I love your humor and basically everything around football culture. The pub is the most culturally UK place, and queuing is the most UK behavior. Yet, there's no queuing for a drink in a pub. Sending utter crap to Eurovision almost every year despite having the best musicians in the world. Switches on outlets are interesting. My last night in London I forgot to switch on the outlet and my phone didn't charge. American living in London for a few years now. One of the biggest things is definitely the drinking culture and how much it's embedded in all of society. I thought coming from the States that we drank a lot. But here it's on a different level. It's very common to have a pint or two during lunch breaks before going back to work. Pubs are on every corner and the public drinking laws are astounding for an American. The sense of orderliness and politeness. Brits are amazing diligent with following the rules. They queue quietly for public transportation. Stand on the right. And don't outwardly complain when something goes wrong, though they are the best at tutting under breath. Keep calm and carry on really is practiced in every part of life here. There's a sense of collectivism that I sometimes find strange when coming from a country that prides itself on individualism. Humor. The British humor relies completely on sarcasm, while American humor is more in your face. Slapstick. They each have their place and time, but sometimes it can feel exhausting to constantly have to unpack British comedy/humor due to its constant push for double entendres, ambiguity and innuendos. People apologizing when passing in front of you at the supermarket. Feels good though. VLC has played every video file in every format I've given it with no problems. Also, all the video game emulators. It's amazing how you can have a fully working console on your computer with almost any game from that console for free. Constantly making jokes about pedos. Dark humor in general. Downplaying everything. Like yeah, that's alright food when in fact it was an excellent dining experience. Accents. The fact that there are cities in the UK where people from different parts of the same city have radically different accents is just absurd. Equally bizarre is the fact that two towns a 10-minute drive apart can have radically different accents. And there aren't even just regional accents. There are class-based accents too. When a man I know went to a business trip to factory in Birmingham in the 60s, the CEO of the company showed him around the factory floor. The CEO had to take middle manager with him as an interpreter, since the CEO and the workers literally couldn't understand each other, because despite the fact that they all had spent their entire lives in Birmingham, They spoke with completely different accents as a result of the old class divisions. I'm obsessed with British panel shows. I don't know how people over there feel about them, but I'll spend hours on YouTube watching old episodes of Cats Does Countdown, and would I lie to you? These are just quality comedy for me, and far better than all the dumb reality shows on TV here in the States. In bars and nightclubs with signs saying, to not attack paramedics. UK here, but my American ex seemed surprised that, while let's go for a pint after work in the US, meant let's go get a drink and head home. Here in the UK it's more like, let's go get smashed after work. Apparently you really mean that shit when you say one drink. I just think that the names they give to places are so oddly fascinating. Like Stoke-on-Trent, or Kingston-upon-Thames, or Aldermanbury Square. They all just seem so whimsical and full of history. When British people say 5:30 as in the time, they mean 5:30. To someone outside of the UK, they'll take it to mean 4:30, as in halfway to 5. How often the word cunt can be part of a man's language. I've been living in the UK for 5 years, and what still gets me is people saying you alright, instead of how are you? For me the you alright always makes me think I look sad or sick. It's weirdly accusatory, even though I know it just means how are you? Well, those taps are annoying. Round doorknobs. Carpets are sometimes in weird places. Why your house is so cold and damp. Barely any heating. Cream and jam debate. Cornwall vs Devon is fun. Accents are fun. Thanking the bus driver is cute. Your police is nice and helpful. Why you hate us Eastern Europeans so much. Red brick houses. Your train networks and prices suck. I'm Portuguese and lived in the UK for 2 years. The use of cheers confused me so much. When am I supposed to use it? Is it a thank you? A goodbye? A hello? Am I supposed to reply cheers in return? I'm from the UK, but I can honestly say Northerners are a different breed. A lot of people I've met feel uncomfortable opening up about how they actually feel. I feel as if there's a certain lad culture where doing so is a sign of weakness. Pull cord light switches. Mostly in bathrooms. Where I come from we only have attached to the wall switches. Except for maybe some super old lamps. One thing I cannot wrap my mind around is how people go partying wearing nothing but a shirt/small dress regardless of the weather. Which is often quite cold. Especially in, you know, winter. I observe large groups of such people every weekend. They are not even carrying jackets or anything, and they are taking the bus. This would be semi-understandable if they took cabs everywhere and literally did not spend more than a couple of minutes outside. The royal family. Are they just mascots of the UK, or do they hold any political power? Brexiting for months, and arguing about it. Brits are so freaking orderly, in most places anyway. Everyone lines up so calmly and neatly. Well, I studied there for a year, and I've been there countless of times before and after. I'm astounded of how much junk food there is. It is everywhere. The first thing I was told when I moved there was look out for chavs. I did not know what chavs was, but not even 5 minutes after I arrived there had been two chavs fighting outside the supermarket right next to where I lived. With blood spots still on the pavement when I walked into this supermarket a little bit later. I learned quickly that you needed to avoid them at most cost. What I found fascinating was the chavs could be any age, young or old. But the weirdest thing for me with UK is that for a city to get the status of a city it needs to have a cathedral. So for a big town like Middlesbrough they can never become a city unless this is changed. And there lives over 200,000 people there. Your country is tiny, but it has so many distinct accents. Did people just never move around? When I moved to the UK, I found it strange to put milk in tea. Now that's the only way to drink it. As a Brit, this whole treat has been a real treat. It might just be the lunchtime beer talking. It's Friday after all. But I've really enjoyed myself. Cheers. The apparent need for alcohol at social situations. Cheekiness. Their methods of swearing has always fascinated me. Here in the USA, we just call each other fuckfaces or assholes. Over there people get called twats, cunts, tiddlywankers, and so much more. It really makes our method of swearing seem barbaric in comparison. I know it's probably because of a long shared cultural history, and that most people live and die in the same areas they were born. But I don't understand the different stereotypes based on towns/cities/villages. I'm not talking really big generalities like people in the north are friendlier, or people in London are more hurried and fast-paced. I'm not talking about large regional differences. I'm talking stereotypes based on specific, very small places. Well, he was from Derbyshire, collective eye roll, so you know how he was. You know how all those Yorkshire men of a certain age act. Heads all nod in unison. I grew up in Kent, so I was not familiar with how those chaps from Milton Keynes spoke. Multiple harumphs. I have no fucking clue what being from a specific small town or village means. But it seems everyone in the UK knows all the different stereotypes and idiosyncrasies of every village in the whole damn country.